NFL.
As far as any of the ridiculous allegations out there, I'm not going to spend more than one sentence in response to it, and that is that I resent any of those accusations because they're patently false. And it's interesting the amount of power that people think that I have, which I don't. But I love Robert, and it was one of those days yesterday.
You guys are all going to be wondering who's going to be the quarterback. Spencer Rattler will be the quarterback. We talked a lot as a staff about what we felt like was the best thing for us and give us the best chance to win the game. That was the decision that we made, and we're excited about him getting an opportunity to go in there, and we'll let him go play and see what he can do.
We're getting the starting quarterback for.
Yes, sir. Aiden O'Connell. I mean, it was a quarterback battle early on. Aiden started 5 games, and at this point, I think it's best to go with Aiden going forward.
Never forget, PK, sports is entertainment. Entertainers are celebrities, and quarterbacks are the biggest celebrities we have. It's all quarterbacks this morning. Did the quarterback get the coach fired? Who starts while the quarterback is hurt? Who starts when the quarterback isn't performing? Quarterback.
Yeah, it's funny how Aaron Rodgers always seems to be in the middle of something. He can't help it. And the other two, I don't know that it really makes much of a difference there on what their teams are going to be able to do as far as success on the field.
Feels like they're doomed, so rearrange the deck chairs. And it's why Overreaction Monday is so hilarious. The Panthers, the Cowboys just got shredded by the Saints. Saints had 91 points after 2 weeks. They were 2-0, and they've lost 3 straight, and now the quarterback's hurt. And so it was all a mirage. We got football tonight. Seattle, 3-2. Atop the NFC West. Is it a mirage? San Francisco, so many injuries, but they're 2-3. They're lurking right there. We've had plenty of teams that have played 500 ball for the first 6, 8, 10 weeks of the season, whatever, and then gotten hot. So the Niners, they're lurking. They win a game like this. They're tied for first place in the division. They're not great. They don't look like Super Bowl contenders, but they don't have to look like Super Bowl contenders right now. They just have to get healthy.
Well, I don't see any big dominant teams in the NFC West, East, North, South, Midwest, South Central. So somebody's got to do that. I mean, are they gonna, outside of McCaffrey, who do they have that's really that big of a deal that's hurt?
McCaffrey's the biggest injury.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had other guys get dinged up, but McCaffrey's clearly the biggest injury.
Yeah, I don't know who the other guys are, and I don't care who the other guys are.
DJ and PK.
#college football.
Thursday night used to be a huge game for college football. We saw our local teams play some big Thursday night games, but the NFL has taken over. Coastal Carolina, James Madison, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, UTEP, Western Kentucky. There's your lineup. I guess you can ignore college football tonight. It'll be big tomorrow night, though. The Utes play the Devils in the desert tomorrow night, so
there's no way I'm ignoring James Madison, man. They are really good. You can ignore them. Ignore them at your own peril.
Okay, I will ignore them at my own peril. DJ and PK.
#Major League Baseball.
Peralta, the former Yankee, kicks and fires. Lux attacks the first pitch, drives the ball right field and deep. Tatis at the wall. It's out of here! Gavin Lux ambushes Wandy Peralta. Tack 2 more on the board. It's now 8-0 Dodgers. Gavin Lux with his first home run of the postseason. An absolute bullet over the wall in right field. The insurance runs that they have been hunting, they get in loud fashion.
Now the pitch, swinging a drive towards the gap in right center. It's pretty deep. It's back near the wall. It's gone. It's gone. Francisco Lindor. He may have just outdone himself. He has hit a grand slam into the Phillies bullpen in right center field. The Mets are leading by a score of 4-1. They were famished for the big hit all night, and Francisco Lindor just provided a feast. Mets 4, Phillies 1 here in the 6th inning.
Swung on a high fly to left. Back goes Melendez on the track. He's at the wall, and she's gone. A stentorian Newtonian home run. He drove a high fly deep left into the Yankee bullpen to give the Yankees a 3-2 lead.
4 playoff games, plenty of drama. We've got a Game 5 coming up in the Dodger-Padres series. The Dodger bullpen game produces a shutout. The Dodger bats are hot early. Mookie Betts gets them started with a homer in the first, 8-0 the final. So that series now 2-2, and they will play a Game 5 in L.A. to decide who goes to play the Mets. Surprised by that? Dylan Cease, 3 days rest. That didn't work. He got blasted.
You got 7-8 guys, I think, pitched for the Dodgers, and the fact that they shut them out, yeah, I was surprised by that. If I'm the Padres, thinking Dodgers score like about 7 more runs, the law of numbers will catch up to you. I mean, they got the numbers 7 and 8 batters going 2 for 4 each. How many times is that going to happen? So, it's a singular game there. Away they go. You'll see what happens, obviously, in Game 5. And then Lindor is a true superstar. There's no doubt about it for the Mets, man.
Grand slam in the 6th inning to win the game 4-1. Although there was plenty of drama in the 9th. Edwin Diaz walking the first 2 batters, 2 on, nobody out, tying run at the plate. But gets the next 3 guys, gets out of there. Schwarber had a chance to be the hero, but didn't work out, and the Phillies are done, and the Mets are moving on. Over in the American League, the Tigers are up 2-1 after shutting out the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland hasn't won a World Series since 1947, the longest drought in Major League Baseball. They're now 1 game away from elimination, 10 wins away from the elusive title.
Well, is it the longest drought if you've never won one, or you never won one since 47?
Well, I think you got to go with the years you were competing. I don't think you can hold teams up for the years they were competing. But you could go to the never ones like the Padres and the Brewers and the Rockies and whoever else I'm leaving out. The Rays, I guess.
So all those years of 100 losses, they were competing?
No, you get to hold those against them.
Okay.
They should have been competing. They were competing very poorly. Yankees over the Royals 3-2. The Yankees are up 2-1 and can advance to the American League Championship Series with a Game 4 win. They play in Detroit at 4 o'clock today and 6 o'clock for the game in Kansas City.
The Tigers did the same thing with the bullpen spiel, and I think that's why they're looking at changing that you've got to go, 5 innings or whatever it was, or 4 earned runs or something, so you can't do that. And it'll be interesting to see if they change that rule so we eliminate these types of games here that we see even in the postseason.
I wonder if that'll push this discussion along. You got to leave somebody out there to give up 4 runs, unless they can get through 5.
Yeah.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah Jazz.
The Utah Jazz continue the preseason tonight. They're playing the Mavericks in Dallas at 6 o'clock. The Jazz have won their first 2 preseason games against the New Zealand Breakers and the Houston Rockets. We were looking this up in a commercial break a few days ago, PK. The preseason had really been whittled down, and we liked it. But it's getting longer again. And they had a 4-game preseason. They had some really short stuff, and now they're going to play 6 preseason games this year. So this is the 3rd of the 6.
Some might argue that they'll play 82.
Oh, I see what you did there. Nice. Mavericks don't have former Jazz man Dante Exum. Surgery Tuesday to repair an injured wrist. He's expected to be out 3 months. Jazz, 6 o'clock tonight. You'll hear it on 97.5 The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
BYU held the blue and white scrimmage. It was apparently about half full, PK. Tons of hype. Lots of fans showing up. The freshmen got their first taste of what it's going to be like. Super high expectations. Tons of energy. This was just a scrimmage, but hey, they were out there, and they got a little feel for it.
It's a big season for them, man. Lots of hype. They've never had this much hype in the history of the program. I wouldn't think so. Not since I've been here, certainly.
Right.
And all these guys here with these freshmen, all these folks that he brought in, Kevin Young, I'm speaking of, And this is a major recruiting weekend. They got the top 47 prospects in the country, I think, are going to be at the football game or something. This is just huge, man. I think he can reel in at least 40 of them.
40. There's plenty of time for everybody. There's shots for everybody. Don't worry about it. And 30 of you will all be first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
No other school will produce any.
Well, I'm curious to see what they got and how good they can come together as quickly as it's going to need to be. You know, not necessarily right off the bat. If they get off to a slow start, I wouldn't be in any form of panic mode because they have enough strength of schedule. Once the league starts, you don't have to worry about that. And, you know, you always hear you want to be playing your best ball in late February, March. And that might be the case for these guys since they're all so new. They do have a few holdovers, obviously, but the majority of the star power looks like it's from the new players. And I think they'll need some time. I don't think you just roll out the ball and away you go. See how they progress during the course of the season and get themselves ready for NCAA tournament. Because obviously, if they're not in the tournament, and maybe we can even go if they're not having success in the tournament, then it's a disappointment. Which is one of the few times you can say that about BYU basketball.
I don't know how slow they can start. I mean, they scheduled themselves 5 wins for sure right out of the gate.
Well, I think that. Well, I'm not really concerned about that. I'm talking about
starting in league in January.
Yeah. So I don't even know who they play. I'm not a schedule guy. Those basketball for college basketball, unless you're in one of these big tournaments, which I heard they're going to be in the Maui next year. We'll see who's on the team next year. That it's really what you do starting in January with your league and all that stuff, unless you have some bad losses.
It's a little less than a month to the first regular season game. They'll have some preseason games and all that. But all right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
The Utah Hockey Club begins a 4-game road trip tonight. They are in New York for the next 3. It starts with the Islanders tonight at 5:30. Great to ride all that emotion at home. Now go out on the road. It's a different deal. Reality sets in. The grind begins. What will they do? Islanders were a playoff team a year ago. Not a good playoff team and out pretty quick, but they made the postseason, so good enough test tonight, 5:30. You'll hear the game on 1280 The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
While the Utah Hockey Club plays its first road game, the Utah golf fans get the PGA Tour for the first time since 1963. Black Desert Championship beginning today in St. George. PK, you're already there. I'll be there later tonight. We'll be broadcasting live tomorrow morning. This is it. Finally, the PGA Tour is back, baby.
Yeah, this is something that they've been talking about for a long time here, and they got it, and here we are. It starts today, and it's an exciting time, no doubt about it, man. I mean, this is not something that happens all the time. We'll see. Maybe it will happen all the time starting going forward from today. But I think everybody is curious to see how it's going to play out. What are the guys going to say after they get out there and play it for real? I mean, they've been there this week and practicing and all that stuff. And now it's on. If it's something that, you wondered why, if they can have a tournament in some of these other places, why they couldn't have it in Utah. Then, with that in mind, we all figured, okay, then it's going to be somewhere in the metro area, not down in St. George, but nevertheless, that's where it is.
How much wind will there be? Because the wind will bring the lava into play. We're used to seeing these guys scramble, right? We've seen guys try crazy shots from crazy places, but you can't play it off the lava.
No, you can't. So you got to figure out where to go. But I mean, they've been out there. They've seen it a little bit. I think they'll be fine on that.
All right, listen, all day today and through the weekend, we'll have coverage here on The Zone as the PGA Tour returns to Utah for the first time since the 1963 Utah Open at the Salt Lake Country Club. It has been a while, but they're back. And that is what is trending. Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Barry Trammell joins us at 8 o'clock. We talk Big 12 football, look ahead to a big weekend. And at 9 o'clock, Arizona State Athletic Director Graham Rossini An intriguing look at where he thinks college athletics is headed. We'll talk with him at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK, the question of the day, is coming up next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Got questions up on Facebook this morning. Question of the morning, beer sales at the hockey game totaled 120,000. Better than any Jazz game ever. Why is that? PK, could you anticipate these responses? Did you see these coming?
I have no idea. I'm not a beer drinker. I can't speak to this.
Jared, don't ask why. Let's just accept it. Jonathan, it's the only way to make hockey interesting.
Really?
Ben says it's inflation. Yeah, the beers are $15.
Oh, so what were they?
8,000
$14.50 last year?
I don't know. 8,000 beers sold for $120,000 at $15 a pop.
Who makes all that money, man?
Steve says it's 220-minute intermissions.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Two
Right.
chances to sell as opposed to just the halftime beers of basketball.
I don't understand why they need 2 20-minute intermissions.
To make more money.
Well, why not have 3?
See? Get those concession stand lines going. Get that team store cranked up. Come on out and buy another T-shirt. Buy another hat.
If that were the case, it's like the mission things. If going on a mission and sitting out for 2 years helped, then Alabama and everybody else would be doing it.
They have more guys sitting out 2 years.
So if this were the case where they do it for more money, then the NBA and NFL, and they'd all be doing it too. And MLS, they'd be doing it too. So I don't know that that's it.
Christopher says the puck went in the net. Where's the ball didn't go in the hoop? Celebratory beers because they were winning. And then we did get a lot of Jim Boylan gifts at that point.
Wham! I thought you drank your sorrows away. I didn't. You celebrated your stuff. I thought that was the expression, but what do I know?
Brian says hockey fans are a different entity. Laughing, crying emoji face sideways.
What entity are they?
A beer drinking entity, clearly.
Oh, is that it?
Jason says it's because the hot dogs, the popcorn, and the nachos were cheap. They needed something to wash it down, so they bought an expensive beer, I guess. After only spending $2 on the hot dog or the popcorn, $2 or $3.
How much is that? When you say expensive, that has to be compared to other places.
Yes, it would all be relative. Maybe compared to what it used to be at this place. Not for NHL games, obviously, but for Jazz games or concerts or whatever.
But that didn't stop them. I don't think the price raising is the reason for $120,000 in beer sales.
More beers.
Yeah, I think that somehow this sport leads itself to more drinking, and I don't know why. That's a fascinating study as to why that should be. I think that's the reason, is that more folks are consuming more beer at a hockey game versus a basketball game, and I wonder why.
Caleb, more non-members watch hockey than basketball, I guess.
Non-members? Non-members of what?
The local predominant religion.
Oh, that's called Mormons. You can say it.
Nope.
You'll be okay.
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, but they changed their name like 5 times. I mean, what they want to be called. They haven't changed their name. But, I mean, I saw that movie, Meet the Mormons.
Rhino, you have to resurface the ice. So there's 2 intermissions. So here we are, $120,000.
That's it? So I wonder what the beer sales will be tonight in New York.
Will they announce the number?
And then I wonder, too, here, if because they had all the festivities
people were there a lot longer.
Yeah, so whenever the doors open, you had more folks coming in because they were already there because there was so much going on.
The arena was packed at 7, and the game didn't start till 8, and then they had 2 intermissions after that.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's more the pregame.
Yeah. Will 120 be the number going forward? Because I assume people aren't going to arrive an hour early for all the rest of the games. That's an opening night thing.
Yeah, I would say maybe weekend when you got more time and you want to go and you want to go to get something to eat, so you get something to eat inside the arena at the numerous places that they have food available. That's possible, but on a Tuesday night and so forth, I mean, people obviously made their way downtown much earlier than they normally would be because you had a concert, you had all sorts of stuff going on there to celebrate the thing. Newscasts were there, ESPN was there. It was really unlike anything that we've ever seen for a sporting event there, and really for anything as far as that goes. They don't normally have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Concerts, everybody's looking to get in the arena and enjoy the concert. So I think my instincts say that probably inflated the number a little bit that you won't have because of the fact that so many folks were down there. I mean, they started gathering in the mid-afternoon. And so by the time the doors opened, there was thousands of people on the plaza in a situation where you rarely wouldn't have. What time did they open the doors? Is it an hour before? So for a basketball game, everything opens at an hour before? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Going in the media entrance, I don't pay that much attention, but I think it's an hour. It might have been 90 minutes at some point, but I think it's an hour.
Yeah, and just to be in there was something, if you didn't go to a preseason game, that you haven't seen, so you wanted to catch all that action.
And you just had time.
Stuff.
With the later start, you got time to get from work and get there early.
And then they pushed back the start even more.
Because the last game for TV hadn't finished.
Which seems like it's like every time. Every sporting event. If there's a sporting event prior, yours is going to be pushed back.
As soon as I see a Saturday night 8:15 kickoff, I just assume 8:30. I don't think that game is ever going to start on time.
Right, and then you get the little, if you're at home, you get the little notice you can flick over to this station or that station, and then they'll switch back after the end. It's like you have to anticipate that. Who was it? There was a game that one of the locals was playing. It must have been a road game. And my wife said, just turn on this channel, because I'm usually at the stadium for college football, right? And so she knew, because she's never at, so it was time to start, and I'm flicking around. I can't find the thing. So just go over to 208 or 209 or something. And sure enough, there it was. And I was unfamiliar with that situation, but she knew it right away because she's watching all the games from home.
Beer sales at the hockey game total 120,000. That's a higher total than any Jazz game ever. Why is that? I'm curious, is that like 10,000 better than whatever the Jazz record is, or is that double? You know, the Jazz games do 60,000. I didn't see anything on that. Do you know?
Oh, no, I have no idea.
Yeah. If I saw that, if it's 5,000 or 10,000 higher, you can explain it away with the 2 intermissions and the later start and all that. If it's double the Jazz game, then people are just drinking way more beer at hockey than basketball.
I would think that last Jordan game, there'd be a lot of beer drinking because that was on Sunday, and we know members don't go on Sunday.
Yeah, but now you're really getting into the inflation factor. I wonder what beer was back then. It was outrageous, but what would qualify as outrageous back then?
Oh, so do we need to go pound for pound?
Pound for pound, the best point guard and the biggest beer drinkers.
Right. So no, can't you factor in? They always have that. Ball player X back then Mickey Mantle earned $100,000 in 1962, and then they'll tell you how much that money would be
worth in
today's
dollars. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how they figure that out, but they do that. So you could probably come out a pound for pound beer sales on that to see how that related to when the arena first opened, and when did it open? 90 or 90?
91.
Yeah. So you can do that. And then you need to go back. Well, then you got to go per pound for pound how much beer sales you had at the Salt Palace on Jazz opening night, their first home game, right? And their first game, in this case, home game and the first game was the same thing. And what was it then? All sorts of stuff. Or how many Californians have moved into the state and just made this state another L.A., and with their beer drinking and their smog and their traffic, Come on. All sorts of stuff to be had from this.
Not nearly as many as people think, not after the fine work that Snag performed over the years.
Sandy Neighbors against gangs. I think the geologists and all those people who do these types of studies, they can really have a field day with this. Or is it anthropologists? Something like that.
I think it's anthropologists.
Oh.
Somebody's digging a hole out in Draper.
Well, you have to put the arena in the first place.
Just keep going, stream of consciousness. It'll work. You'll get there. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, so I want more. Don't tell me. I've always said I want behind the numbers, man. I just don't want the raw numbers.
Give me the numbers behind the numbers.
Yeah, what does it mean? What's the meaning behind the numbers? And then there's a great opportunity here to be had. The Watchdog, get on this, man. Quit writing about the Mormon Church. Get on this stuff.
The 2 intermissions has to be a factor. I mean, the late start. The Jazz have had late starts.
Oh, plenty of them.
Plenty of playoff games.
Like every
started
first
at 8
round
or
playoff
8:30.
game.
Yeah, 8 or 8:30. Right?
Yeah.
So 2 intermissions have got to be a big factor.
Yeah. We used to joke when they had those late games, we would do a first right through, and I would do it, and then Steve Loom was covering them, and then he'd do one with quotes. I would do what they call a running story, and that would be for the outer lying areas. So they used to say that my name was big in St. George. Well,
that'll pay off at Black Desert now.
Yeah, we're going back 30 years. But
you're the guy who wrote Jazz playoff stories 25 years ago. Come on inside the ropes.
And it had no quotes and no nothing. It just
told the story of the game.
Yeah, and you used to send, they wanted like 25 inches, so you'd start writing in the first quarter, and then you just write above it. So I'd send like a 60-inch thing, and then it was much easier for them to just lop it off when it got over there, and so they can meet the first deadline for the outskirts, in this case southern Utah, where I'm broadcasting today in anticipation of heading over for the golf tournament. That's where the paper would go there, and then he would write, and the pressure would be off because he'd have another 45 minutes or something, whatever it is, and he can get the quotes from Sloan and the statues and all that stuff and explain what went on in the game rather than me. The Jazz went on an 8-2 run there with 4 minutes in the first quarter and blah, blah, blah.
Hornacek really heated up in the second.
Yeah, just do all that stuff there, and so we would do that, and that would handle it.
I expect you to be getting free food then. Get all those meals comped. In St. George, you're the man in the outlying areas.
You know what's funny as you bring that up? True story here. Because of the television, I tend to get recognized way more down here than I ever thought possible. I was with my wife and some friends golfing, and I pulled one into the next fairway, and these 2 senior citizen ladies were coming up, and they said, they looked at me and they smiled, "Hey, I know you." And then there's another story real quick. I have a buddy that I knew in California, used to golf with him a lot. And then we move, and he moves down to Huntington Beach. We're separated for like 30 years. And then we used to exchange Christmas cards, blah, blah, blah. And then we get a Christmas card that says, "Oh, by the way," and he retired way early. Like maybe age 60, and he said, "We are in St. George, if you're ever in the area." Well, as you know, DJ, I tend to be in this area a fair amount. And so he's we're doing some project around his house, and he's got to go to the dump, the county landfill, right? And so we drive over there. This is his first experience with PK, and the lady, you check in because I think they got a thing that you can go a certain amount of times as a resident, and then you have to pay above that. So they check your license plate, blah, blah, blah. So she looks in this truck and sees me, and she says, "Hey, you're that guy on television, aren't you?" And my buddy's like, "What?" And then he's playing it up. Oh, yeah, that's him. That's him right there. Do you want to come out? I'll take your picture with him. Do you want his autograph? He's playing it up. All sorts of fun. So, yeah. So I'm already big in St. George. But when I get over to the golf tournament today, it'll be all about the golf. All those golfers will be far bigger than me.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Well, we saw the Cats once, and we know how that went. We're going to see them again. How's this going to go? We will get to that next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. The band of the day, well, you already know. Everybody recognize that. Taylor Swift. Brought to you by Live Nation. For all of the live concerts and events in 2024, check out livenation.com. On this day in 2014, Taylor Swift was named Billboard's Woman of the Year, making her the first artist to receive the award twice. Goes to the female artists who shaped and inspired the music industry with their success, leadership, and innovation over the last year.
Who was the male artist of the year then?
I do not know. But you give me something to look up in the next break. Thank you. Question up on our Facebook page. The Utes lost to Arizona. What will the Cougars do? Kevin says their best. They will do their best.
That's all you hope for, and that no injury would befall them.
Ben, what will they do? They'll lose to the Utes. He's already looking ahead to November.
Oh, man, there's some big games between now and then, particularly for the Cougars. Every game is big, obviously, but I maybe describe the word more accurately as tougher games at that point. And so we'll see how that plays out. But the Cougars have a big month here, and every game for them is huge. Every game for everyone is huge. And this Arizona game is an extremely dangerous game. There's just simply no question about that.
Mark Snow says they will win. All caps, 3 exclamation points. Of course, exclamation point. That's what all caps champs do. Exclamation point.
Ultimately, that's the ultimate objective, obviously, right, is to win. However you get it done, that's all that matters. And so you'll take anyone, any way, I should say, as far as you win. Doesn't matter how you win as long as you do win. Now that we're this deep in the season, you're not looking – I don't think anymore, not in BYU's case, and really not in Utah's case going forward. I don't think you're looking for style points. I think that's out the window, and it's especially out the window when you have automatic bids at stake. You don't have to worry about that stuff, style points. That really is irrelevant, and BYU sitting there at undefeated at 2-0 in the conference, literally style points mean nothing. All that matters is that you win the ball game. I mean, you can argue in the non-conferences you're trying to project how it's going to be in October and November. Style points matter, and like have this team win comfortably and you look good in the run game or pass game, whatever it is. That's all true, and we judge that. But now that we're in the heart of conference play here, that really doesn't matter. So if they find a way to win by 1 point, that is all that matters. And I'm super intrigued by this game. I'm far more intrigued by this game than I am Utah's game.
Keep the 0. That's way more important than any style points because the number of teams with the 0 in the loss column is dropping quickly. You keep it, you stand out.
Right, and you don't have to have a vote. Now, you can get in by vote, that's for sure, obviously. And 8 teams will get in by vote. What you want, or less than that, but you want the opportunity to just determine what you're looking for, determine your own fate. And right now they have that. How long that lasts remains to be seen. Does it last another week? Maybe so. Does it last another 3 weeks? Does it last until the Utah game? Does it continue on after the Utah game? Because if you win between now and the Utah game, well, then, you got to look at them and say, wow, everybody was wrong. Even if you were the most optimistic, you did not have them contending to the level that they would be if they go into that Utah game undefeated. Nobody had them like that. I didn't have them like that. No way. I'll be the first to admit it.
I don't know anybody that had them at 5-0. And certainly, then obviously no one had them at 6-0. And
right.
6-0 is the goal Saturday night. Be 6-0 and Saturday. Well, I was going to say when Saturday night gets here, be 6-0. When the day is done.
No,
but it's 2 o'clock kick.
No,
so.
you got to go right from the kick.
Every snap, put your hand in the dirt.
Every single one.
No rubberized pellets at LaVell Edwards Stadium.
And you have to be all sorts of ready for Arizona because Arizona, did they really underachieve? I mean, you can argue that a lot of people would have had them at 3-2 here, that going to Kansas and going to Utah was going to be tough. Now, they are 3-2, but the format and the method in which they got 3-2 hasn't played out like we possibly anticipated. But looking at them at being 3-2
is not surprising.
Yeah, right. It really isn't when you look at it from that perspective.
A lot of people might have flipped go to Salt Lake City, lose to the Utes, but then come home and beat Texas Tech. You could have flipped those two.
Right.
But
exactly.
nonetheless, you're 3-2 and 1-1.
Right. But they are so dangerous. For a team that nobody anticipated would be contending strongly in November, if you put those teams in that category, okay, teams that have the ability, but we don't think that they'll be a true contender when we get to the heart of November, I can argue that this team is the most dangerous of that group. You see what I'm saying there?
100%. And with this quarterback and their star receiver, they're always one big play away from winning a close game and shaking up the conference race. And we're going to take a break right now. Barry Trammell is going to join us next. More Big 12 football with Barry. Stay with us.